That's right. That's right. Every Thursday we are in the building. Meetings of minds. We're back again. It's Paul and Chris. It is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Along with Lupus Awareness Month.
A lot of awareness going on, and I love it. Tonight we got a pretty exciting topic. One that I think a lot of people don't take time to address. And then this month is going to be a good month. I'm going to start doing check-ins with people. I know if you see me calling, I'm gonna leave you a voicemail and check on you. Crazy story. I actually had a friend from college, P, and I hit him up, and I did not know his mother died from breast cancer.
Wow.
And he was one of the best men at my wedding. We keep in contact, but it kind of just hit me. It's like I was like, "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm not doing good." He goes, "I thought I was doing good," but he's like, "I'm not doing good." And we text back and forth, and the fact that that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, we got to check in on each other, man. Like, even if it's just you checking on somebody through text. I mean, sometimes people are not the most savvy, but just hit them up and see how they're doing, because I honestly would have never known. And he just told me flat out, he's like, "Chris, I thought I was doing okay in life, but I really not." He's like, "Thank you for reaching out to me." I was like, it's what friends is for, man.
It's important that we often get so busy, and the only time that we decide to check on people is when a death.
Yeah.
When a death or somebody is really
If
sick.
you need something.
Yeah, or if you need something. But it's important just to shoot. And I know texts are so impersonal, but sometimes people are working, and it's quicker to just text someone, shoot them a text and say, "Hey, just checking in on you. Are you okay? Do you need
It's
something?"
tough out there.
But, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own things, we forget to check on other people, which we think that are very strong. In reality, they fall short and they're weak just as well. So
the hammer. Going back to what we talked about last week, the hammer. You use me, you abuse me.
Yeah, so we need to make sure, just shoot a text. And if you have time, it's more personal if you call. But if you have time, at least shoot a text. "Hey, thinking about you, checking on you, love you. Call me later when you get a chance, or I'll call you at such and such time." It's really important. Tonight's topic is depression, as Chris said, and we're going to have our very own Chris.
I don't have two sides. I'm trying to figure out who the other side is.
Your alter ego.
My alter ego.
Yeah, we have Chris to talk about depression. Depression is really, really serious. I'm not going to cover up because this is an open platform. I'm sure all of us went through it before, but I just went through a depression period that I was in for a very long time. And believe it or not, I just kind of recently came out of it. Yes, I do therapy. I'm not ashamed to say. But, certain things that were bothering me that I was holding in that was getting the best of me, I had to literally free myself and let go. And since then, my thinking, my thought process is more clear. The decisions I make, they're not, rapid. They're not, they're thought through. And it's just the way that I think about things, the way I talk about certain things is much better now. Depression is a serious thing.
I'm still backstage.
Sorry about that, y'all. I didn't realize I didn't add Chris to the screen. But he's on the screen now. Depression is a really serious thing. You gotta mute your computer. Sorry about that. We're having a little difficulty on the sound. You have to mute your mic, remember?
I'm trying to. I got to mute the mic.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. We had a little feedback. But yeah, so, and I thought I could do it on my own. Yes, I was praying and stuff like that, but I needed a little more assistance. Remember, God give us a gift to do certain things. So yes, he's there to aid us in our need, but I needed someone that he blessed with a gift to pull me out of that spot. And I thank Dr. Ann for that, because she helped me, through that process. I still do therapy, but I am heading towards being a much better person than I was before. And I'm not ashamed to say it, because if I'm here on this platform and I'm talking to everybody else and bringing, speakers, therapists, doctors to talk about it, and I'm in the corner falling apart, it's nothing but fair to talk about these things as well, because I'm human just like the rest of us. So I just wanted to share that it's really serious. Some people mask it, but it deteriorates your inside. Your thought process is not really clear. The way you feel about yourself is different. And I love myself, but I love myself even more that my mental the mental part of me, I have more clarity. So now we're going to turn it over to Chris.
Wow. Okay. I mean, we really could take this in so many different topics, in so many different directions. A lot of people go through depression. I'm not going to sit up here and go through numbers and stats, because that would be very redundant. I think we'll look at it is from a environmental standpoint, and then we'll also look at it from more of a root cause. Um, I just, everybody at some point has been through depression. Pete just talked about her depression. When I got done playing athletics, sports, I went through a period of depression, because I think in those times we're trying to find out who we are. And a lot of times we are either in a period of transition, or it could be from a job loss. A lot of times people have depression because of abuse. It could come from age, sometimes medication. But I think a lot of times when I've talked to a lot of my clients, it's conflicts. I used to work in a program that was called the IPS program. And a lot of the clients who work with suffer from depression because they weren't able to find jobs. You think you have a certain skill set, you put yourself through school, and then all of a sudden you come to find out you get laid off. A lot of older people, retirees, go through depression because it's a loss of validation.
Yeah, and they used to be busy, going from being busy to not knowing what to do.
And people they'll try to overload themselves. And then when certain activities die, the empty nest syndrome, your kids leave, because you haven't really spent that time trying to feel who you are as a person. And I think
if your kids leave, make more kids. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, hey,
I'm just kidding.
The blue pill and the red pill, anything's possible.
Or enjoy trying, right?
But I think anybody goes through depression because it's a consistent feeling of sadness. And there's so many different things about depression. There's so many different diagnostics from the DSM-5. I'm not going to go into those details because I don't want to bore people. But I really want to look at the topic of depression. I think we'll go back to what we talked about earlier, checking in with people. I'm a person that a couple weeks ago, a guy said, the biggest problem with a lot of people, Chris, is they play defense. And he said, instead of playing defense, why don't you play offense? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, if you look at things from an offensive standpoint, you can offset stuff, because when you get defensive, you're trying to prevent stuff. At that point, it may be too late. But from an offensive standpoint, you're able to see things a lot of times and try to predict certain things, and they could have a better outcome. So I'm going to look at the standpoint, okay, you go into a situation, you may not be stable for that situation. You may be in a relationship where if you're still in a bad spot and then something else happens in that relationship, you've now taken baggage into that relationship with you. It could be friendships, it could be, a partner, it could be a job. And I look at everything in quadrants of relationships, because everything that you do in life, it is energy, whether it's given positive or negative. And I think a lot of times we end up getting depressed because I'm giving you 125%, I'm giving you 200%, and you may be giving me 5%. And then things don't pan out like I expect them to. So I end up in a period of depression where now I'm looking at the world from a different space. Teenagers go through depression. A lot of times people sit back and then they're looking like, well, kids can't get depressed. Kids can go through depression from an early age because of the environment. If a kid is watching their parents go through domestic altercation on a night-to-night basis, then they have to go to school and they get picked up, they get picked on. It becomes difficult for them to try to understand the world because of the environment they're coming from. And depression can hit anybody. It's not just, and it can hit at any time. But I think a lot of times people don't recognize the symptoms: loss of appetite, not being able to sleep. It can go on for prolonged periods of time, and then you get stuck in that place where you're now going from a standpoint of preventative to where now, instead of being on offense, you're on defense. Because now I'm trying to prevent everything. I can't sleep at night. My sex drive's low. I have really crappy relationships. I can't relate to people. You stay stuck in that rut, and then that's when sometimes people can't figure out how to get out. P.
It's true, but you know, going back to what you said about giving someone a percentage, you could be giving, like, I would say 100%, and that person is giving you 5%. But what I've learned in life, and it's hard, never expect the person to give the percentage that you give. If you're going to give 100%, give it because that's what you feel like giving, and that's who you are. Some people don't appreciate it, and some people don't give back that 100. And you have to look at it two ways. They may not know how to give back that 100, or maybe you're not that person that they want to give that 100 to. So if you're going to give 100 to somebody, just take it as a loss. You took one for the team. If you get it back, it's great. But if you don't expect it, because everybody doesn't have the same mindset. You have people that are givers and people that are receivers. So some people just receive, and that's how it goes. They just receive, and they don't care about giving.
And I think what you just said is the right thing. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
I can't expect to go to the bank and deposit $100 and come back the next day and think there's gonna be $1,000 there.
Of course not.
I deposited $100.
Your interest is good, bro.
I like them interest rates. It's like that little 2% to get that little cash back.
I know, right?
But what you just talked about is something a lot of people can't do, Pete. And a lot of times people think that they can do other things like cope. I'm gonna either smoke, I'm gonna drink, I'm going to become. Some people act violent because they don't know how to deal with the situation. I'm coming at it from a standpoint to where it's difficult for me to get out of space, so I'm going to try to inflict pain on other people. And I'll even take it as far as sometimes people do traumatic events not because they get joy out of it, because they're in that space where they don't know how to get out.
But you remember, I've spoken to you. You remember there are a lot of times I said, "Oh, my feelings were hurt." You know why? Because I was giving 100, 200%, and expecting that in return. And it's hard because you'll wonder, they're not human. They don't know if you give 100, you get 100, you give at least try to match it. But recently, it took a lot of hurt feelings. Recently, I decided I'm only going to give 100% to people that are, even though I thought some of the people were worthy. But the catch is, you give that to people that think you are worthy as well. That too will send you, like you said, in depression. You're giving 100 and somebody giving you 5%, and you like, I'm using all my energy and my time, and I'm only getting this. Like, bro, that will send you in a depression. So you learn from that. And guess what? I'm 52 years old and I'm still learning. People just are not going to be the same as you are. So you got to pick and choose. You give it to people that are worthy, who appreciate, and give in return.
And what's crazy, a lot of people put a whole bunch of energy in one bucket, but they don't spread it throughout. And my people, we grew up on a farm. So my grandfather was always putting seeds out, and they would always grow. And he had just fields of just plants that would grow vegetables. But the thing is, watching him, I'm going to put that into correlation for people now. Spread your seeds. And I'm not meaning that to be like, guys like that don't mean go out there and sow your oats like coming to America. But plant your seeds. Put your energy.
You got to plant it in the right soil.
You got to put it in the right soil. Because if you don't put it in the right soil, it's not going to grow. And I think oftentimes when people get depressed, it's this feeling of sadness, this loss of interest in everything that you've enjoyed. So a lot of times when certain things are taken from us, we feel like, okay, there's nothing else to do. And you're going to be that way. But a lot of times when I'm working with clients, I say, okay, let's get out of depression, but let's find something else that you can put that energy into. Let's transfer this over to another field. And for some people, going back to some of the job seekers I work, they may not have been good going back in the field. If you're 65 and you used to be able to type and you're a assistant, administrative assistant, your fingers can't handle the typing. Maybe you can find something else where you can find that joy, or maybe you can go volunteer. But I think a lot of times people just see, okay, I'm depressed. Like, how do I go from here? And I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm not a person that believes in medication. Like, there are certain things that need to get medicated, yes. But I feel like depression, sometimes there are certain people that may have chemical imbalances. They may have something neurological.
Okay, so let me back up. It's not that, and I'm speaking for both of us because we've had this talk. Mm-hmm. It's not that you, and I don't want anybody to think I'm thinking over Chris, but I just want to kind of say something. It's not that we don't believe in medication. Medication should be short term,
right?
To control things until you work on things to cope,
right? And
coping mechanisms, so you don't have to take as much medication and eventually wean yourself off. Some things, medication, you know, of course you need medication, but there are coping mechanisms, like high blood pressure. Yes, you need it to control the pressure, but guess what? If you change your diet, you can eventually come off a high blood pressure medicine. The same with diabetes. If you control your diet, and exercise and stuff like that, there's a possibility you don't have to take medication. So medication is, and I forgot which president said that quote, that it should be short term, not long term. It's a short-term
solution. And I think a lot of times people think of it long term because it's coping. And you're absolutely correct, Pete. I'm just the type of person, I like to look at things from, okay, this is the short term. And let's not, because if you're going to take this for a long term, there's other factors we need to look at. And from a medication standpoint, again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychiatric nurse and all that stuff, so I'll leave that to them. But when you start now, there could be adverse side effects that we need to have fixed. And I've seen a lot of times when clients are on one thing, it alters their chemical imbalance, and then other things start to get upset.
You remember we said, okay, when you look, you taking the medication for one thing, but if you look at the side effects list, it affects how many other things?
Everything. I mean, your weight may go.
So anybody's goal should be short term to keep it under control until you reach that goal of not needing it or decreasing the dose slowly.
Right. And a lot of that comes with also therapy with coping skills. Finding activities that you enjoy. And a lot of times those coping skills could be taking walks, fitness, spending time with people that you've enjoyed spending time with. But again, that's coming out of the state of depression, because a lot of times when you're in a depressed mood, I don't want to leave the house.
Just like me, I have GERD, right? What's the best thing to do? Stay away, change my diet, stay away from food. But what do? We eat stuff we're not supposed to, but we take that medication for the GERD and say, I'm going to eat this. And I'm going to eat this, but I'm going to take the medication first. And what we need to do is just basically change the diet.
Change the lifestyle.
Change the lifestyle and change the diet.
What was one of the things you did to help pull you out of your situation? Like, what are some of the things that you started doing?
Well, I have a good support team. Okay. I talk to you, my stepdaughter Jamila, Cookie. Okay. You know, I have my aunt Val. You have those, and my aunt Val and my uncle, they're very spiritual. You have those people that, and my niece Desiree, you have those people that you could talk to that pull you, you know, bring you to a certain point. But at the end of the day, you do need to seek professional help.
Always.
You do need to seek. But those are the people that kept, and even Zaria, those are the people that kept me balanced. Like, yo, you got this. You know, don't worry about this. You got to shake it off. And my cousin Erica, another one, praying with me every morning. She check on me 8 o'clock in the morning before she take the girls to school. And when she dropped them off, she called me. So when you have that support system that's saying, what you doing? Just laying in bed? Nope, you're going to get up today. It kind of pulls you out to a different space. And Erica said, you don't think you want to talk to somebody? Really? Of course. I need to.
You have to.
I need to.
They're actually saying people.
And then even the other thing, not to cut you, the other thing, I did a liver cleanse, a 21-day liver cleanse, detox my body. The clarity.
How'd you feel?
Much better. Much better. So it's different natural things you can do to pull you out of it. But it's hard. I'm not telling anybody it's not hard.
Not down
You
for
could,
nothing.
yeah, you could just lay in. It's easy to just lay in bed
Mhm.
and listen to sad music and cry and don't want to do nothing. But you have to want to be happy. You have to want to get off of it. And I'm gonna share another thing. How I really knew that I was in a depression.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, a baby hoarder. I was buying new things, had all these things, brand new things with tags. Oh, somebody may need this. And does that day ever come when somebody needs it? No. So I finally decided to get up, get rid of all of that stuff, and donate the stuff.
Mhm.
And I feel so much better. I don't, when your mind is not cluttered,
Right.
you declutter your space.
Right.
And that's basically what it was. I cleared my mind, and
Cleanse
I'm
that
like,
space.
whoa, how did I do this? And then you
Space.
clear your space.
Sometimes it
And
takes.
I'm going to be honest, you declutter your friend list as
You
well.
have to. But what you basically did is what you did with your liver. You did a cleanse.
Yeah,
And sometimes you get in
everything.
space, you have to. Sometimes it takes maybe moving to a new city,
Mm-hmm.
getting a new group of friends,
Mm-hmm.
maybe changing the job that you don't want to because now you have a new outlook and
Mhm.
perspective. And again, I'm medication is short term, but you need long term solutions. Because if you, let's say you go into another situation and you have not fully fixed who you are as an individual, you can end up back in the same place in a new state with a new group of friends, but because you didn't take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, and that's why I say, and I'll take that from Ms. Deb. It's almost a holistic standpoint as an individual. I think sometimes we get so busy, the older we get, we kind of forget who we are. It's like sometimes you got to go back to your roots, whether it's going home, spending time with your family, but the support system is huge. You have to have that.
Let me tell you, excuse my language, I'm not going to say the word, but depression is a mother.
It'll kill you.
I'm telling you, it
It
is.
will.
I can't. It feels like, how you have a butterfly in a jar.
Mm-hmm.
A butterfly is not supposed to be in a jar. Nothing that beautiful should be in a jar. It seemed like somebody took the top off the jar and just freed me.
It's a space. It feels
Yep.
like elephants on your back. And I was there years ago, and I literally my hair grew, I had a fro, I grew a beard, and I can't grow facial hair, and everybody thought I looked crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was working, and my manager said, "Chris, just go home." He said, "I just need you to go home for a couple of days." He's like, "You're not effective here," because everybody could say my mood was just altered. I laid in the bed, I stayed there, I didn't move, and it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, and at the time, I mean, you get to the point to where you don't feel like doing anything. My best friend literally was, I would get me a 10-piece chicken wings and fries and take myself home and just eat at a big 12-pack of donuts and a Coke and just go home and sit there.
Even though I haven't been doing this on air a long time, but when I was going through it, what I was going through, I am the one that you would never know because I would say, you got this. God got you. You just got to have faith. Now, it's not that I didn't have faith. I just needed the strength to clear my mind to get to starting that.
Because you got to start in the head before it hits the heart.
And I come here, and what I do, I give positive thoughts and positive words, and I uplift everybody. But then when I walk out of here, my shoulders drop, and I'm back at the same spot. But now I'm not, I'm not going through that anymore. And it feels really good to be out of that space so I can really see. And you make bad decisions when you're in a depression and your head is not clear. You make bad decisions financially, friends, people you hang around, favors you do. And once that clarity, it's not that you get mean. You're more wiser. You're more conscious. You're more aware of the BS and the games with male or female.
Yeah.
So, it's just, it's hard. It's a terrible thing, but you can come out of it. You really can.
So there's major depressive disorder. You got persistent, bipolar, season affective, and I'm not going to go through all the different things, but people who are 45 to 65 are at the highest rates of getting depression.
Why is that, you think?
Change your life. If you think about when you're supposed to be, let's think about it, when you get 50, 52, 60, you either retire, you're close to retirement, everything changes. Men, women, we know they chemically change. Environments change. Like you just said, you may not be down with the BS no more. So you're trying to figure out who you are as a person. And I think oftentimes, and I take it from a culture standpoint, we drive ourselves, you go to school, you come out, you get a job, you work 20, 30 years at a place, and you retire. That was what was always instilled in us ever since I've been a kid. That's the American dream. But now the landscape has changed because of COVID. And people were getting laid off. People didn't know where they were going to their next step. I mean, even if you look at the financial crash of 2000 and what was it, 2010 down here. I was down here in South Florida. I had people I knew that literally were thinking about jumping off bridges because financially they just lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
There were older guys I knew that they didn't know what to do because they got lost because you get so caught up in, I believe this is my identity. And again, this is just my belief, but you get so caught up in that this is who I am as a person.
And what people perceive you to be. And now it's not like that anymore. What am I going to do? They're going to look at me as a failure.
And I like what Matt said a couple weeks ago. Matt said, man, go with your own program. He said, forget what everybody thinks. He said, your closest friends. He said, you got to do what makes you happy. And I think a lot of times people, it sounds all childlike, but if you want to go do something, whether it's a profession or whether it's something that's going to make you happy, find that space.
You know, it's funny. It's validation. A lot of people, and you know, and I'm guilty of it. Certain things I used to look for validation. Chris, I don't give about no validation. I validate myself. 100%. It's between me and God. That's it.
And I think that's what we all, but it goes back to Maslow's hierarchy needs. We all want to be validated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's psychological because I think a lot of it comes from security. And if I don't get this from this person, then now I feel invalidated. I did
security, rejection,
everything. Mm-hmm. I can't tell how many athletes I know, NFL, when their career is done, if you look at NFL players, and you know, I talk about it because I've been in that space, they have a high rate of depression because you're an athlete, or if you're a CEO, or if you're a person who's been in the profession for so long, you lose your identity. I remember we even had a coworker that worked with us. She would talk about how she struggled making the transition from being a teacher to doing what she being retired. But she settled in nicely because she found a niche doing what she did. But for anybody, when you get that age 45 to 65, I think they're always saying, men and women, you hit your financial shot around 45, 50. What if you don't? What if you haven't reached where you're supposed to be? Like, what do you do? Let's say you're not in a good relationship. Let's say your kids are off the chain and you're in a space where you hate life. I had a client, her grandma sleeps in the car when she comes home. She's 62. She does not like coming home. And she will stay in the car. But everything goes back to her wanting to be validated.
And that's bad to be that. You know, when my heart dropped when you said that. I'm going to be that in 10 years. That is bad that you can't, when you come home, you don't feel validated that you don't even want to be in that environment. You feel better in your car.
I work with a couple grandparents and their grandkids are teenagers. And the only thing I take from the conversation is they want to be validated. They're not going to come out and say it because it's pride. But at the end of every conversation, they want validation.
The grandparents or the teenagers?
The grandparents.
Okay. But, you know, and I know I had to learn, even with my mommy, I had to learn. They're getting older. You know, the saying, once a man, twice a child. It's almost like you have to be careful with your parents and your grandparents. It's almost like you have to baby them because they are baby. They go to adulthood. Now they're converting back. And it's okay to validate, I'm going to say, the older people or the elderly or grandparents and your parents. It's okay. Sometimes, you know, we be so wrapped up in ourselves that we kind of lose it. But remember, our parents validated us, a lot of us. What our parents did growing up, you're beautiful, you're this. They just want the same thing. That's all. And it's once a man, twice a child. So they just want to be baby. And it's okay to do that. It takes an extra couple seconds.
It does. And
that's it.
And that's another thing I try to work with the younger generation on is the knowledge they have. You're not going to get that off YouTube. You're not going to get that off of Instagram or social media. Because you have literally a walking autobiography in front of you. Take advantage of it. Because when that individual is not here,
that's it.
There's so much stuff. And sometimes I even have to say, my father got sick probably 10 years ago. He had an aneurysm, 2 aneurysms, and made it through. I used to kick myself at night because there were conversations I wanted to have with him. Because of my ego, because of my pride during the time, I didn't feel like I should have those conversations. But now, there's certain times his memory kicks in, and it's amazing. I feel like I'm talking and we're having conversations, but there's so many doors that I missed because I was like, yeah. Because, again, I was seeking my own validation, not realizing that I had somebody in my corner that always validated me. And see, that's one thing that I still kick myself this day about, because I'm like, wow, there's so much knowledge he has that I could have gotten, and there's still a lot of knowledge there. And there's certain times he taps into it, and I go back to almost a childlike state when he talks it.
Because you
Especially,
get
I
excited.
get excited.
And it's okay. Let me tell you, we're all getting older.
Mhm.
I repeat myself sometimes.
My bad.
It's okay if your mother or your grandmother or your grandfather and father repeat things. Don't say, you already said that. Just listen. Because if they're saying it again, one or two things, they want you to listen clearly, or they don't remember they said it. So don't jump on them, because what it does, it causes them to shut down. Because I used to say to my mom, you already said that. But I had to learn, okay, she's saying it for one or two reasons. She wants you to really hear her, or she don't remember she said it. So what I did, I would join the conversation as if she never said it before, and I would just give her, the same answer before. And it's okay, because guess what? We're all going to reach that point. All of us.
Every single one of us.
That we're going to get to that age, we're going to want somebody to listen to us.
Just to sit there and listen. I think there's a service that they have there's people that go in and they just want older people. I think it's pals. Where you go into the home and you just sit with the older person and you just listen to them talk. And it's volunteer. And I was like, wow, it's amazing that a lot of times I think we don't realize that anybody can fall in depression at any point. Whether it could be grief, it could, like I said, it could be a job loss, it could be a transition. It can hit anybody, and you don't know how long it's going to last, because people typically don't. We find other ways to deal with it as society. I'm going to a lot of people. They're dealing. I'm depressed. I'm going to stay at work longer.
You off. Yeah.
Some people, and at the end of the day, it's like, how do you try to figure out ways to get back on the mainstream? And a lot of times, I don't think we know as a society how to do that. So what do you do in those situations? Women are actually to higher stress levels than men. But I think in this country, we have it's just a stressed out environment. Sitting in traffic, they say it's bad for you.
You think women have a higher stress level than men? I think it's about equal. I just think that our stress levels are on different things. And the reason why I said that, because if a man can't make an end meet, he's thinking about, how am I going to tell my children? How am I going to tell my wife? Because remember, we had this conversation. Men don't like to openly talk about the issues that they're having. They don't, like to talk about the issues that they're having, because it's embarrassing to us. We carry the load of, I know something is wrong with my husband, my mate, or whatever. He's not talking to us. Then we worried about the kids. And then we worried about, so I think our stress level is about the same. It's just that we stress about different things.
Statistically, they say women go through a high level of stress.
Really?
Statistically. But I got to agree with you, because even from a cultural standpoint, I mean, I'll take it there. I think we have a high level of stress in our community. I think that ultimately leads to a lot of depression amongst our teens and the youth. And those who are minorities, I mean, if you look at the stuff that happened over the last, let's say, 2 years in our community, that's caused a high level of stress. When you talk to some of the youth, when you talk to some of the older generation, we're in the office having this conversation today, and it all stemmed from everything that's been happening. And then how do you move forward as a culture? Because it is depressing to see certain things on TV. Like, I had to have this conversation with Pac-Man, and I'm sitting up here, and my son,
Pac-Man is his son.
That's my son. He goes, Dad, I don't want to live here anymore. He said, do you see what these people are doing to people? I don't want to live here anymore.
But it's funny. We had to learn to adjust when COVID started. We had to learn to adjust. Now, how do we readjust and get reacclimated back into the society, going back into the office, going back out into the field? It's you think about it, it's kind of hard. So now we were in a depression. Some of us came out of the depression because we got used to the situation. And now we have to get back into, the groove of going back into the office to work and everything like that. And then depression may hit again.
From different angles.
Because you're going to, you're so used to dealing with people on Skype. Yeah, I could sit in my boxes and my t-shirt or my tie shirt and shorts on, and I can deal with people. Now you got to get dressed back.
Go back into the office.
Yeah, and go back into the office. So now people are readjusting again, which can cause depression again.
Changing environment.
Yeah.
Adjustment. And that's the thing. A lot of people, going back to just, we talked about earlier, is coping. And I think a lot of it, one, you got to have a solid support network. Two, communication. Talk about issues. I think a lot of times couples, when they go through transitions, like me and Norm, COVID, it tested the relationship. We made it through.
COVID tested everybody.
But we learned, we worked on communication. And I was like, we stuck through this thick and thin. And COVID tested everybody. And I know some people did not make it through COVID.
Of course.
We having life group discussions for the church. You see the couple going back and forth. Oh, hi. No, we heard everything y'all just said. No.
Because when you're used to seeing somebody like maybe 4 hours the most, and then you sleep the rest. But now you're talking about you waking up 6, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you seeing this person all day long. The kids hollering, the husband hollering, the wife hollering, then you got in-laws there. It's hard. It's hard.
A lot of people caught depression during COVID because, one, you can't go anywhere. There was no escaping. And if
especially in the beginning,
there's nowhere to go. For a lot of people, I know, honestly, it wasn't funny, but it was kind of funny. People that go to the gym, if you looked at the posts on Facebook and Instagram, people are like, dude, I'm going into depression. I'm like, why? I can't go to the gym.
Listen,
I'm like, man, go outside and do some push-ups. Not that serious.
Listen, I'm asthmatic and I don't even smoke, and I wanted to start smoking something. Like, bruh.
It was crazy. And I think a lot of times people forget that, like, it can hit us. And what's sad is a lot of times there are people that don't know how to deal with it. And I've seen situations where I've had, friends that they couldn't deal with it because this certain part of my life, I've put so much energy in this basket. And now this basket is done. And they told you need to move away from this basket. What do you do after that? And I've had friends that literally, they just ended it because they couldn't deal with this. They couldn't deal with it. The depression, it takes over. And a lot of people, they get to the point, you have a lot of older people, they don't know what to do. You have a lot of teenagers, when they get depressed, they feel like nobody's there to listen. Nobody cares. My parents don't want to talk to me about this situation. And I think sometimes, even from a culture standpoint, we tell the kid, oh, you'll be fine. You don't need therapy. Even what Reba was talking about, it's hard to get sometimes minority parents to sign off on forms saying that their kid has mental health because now
they don't want that stigma, that label to follow them.
Oh, so now
because you know what, and it's bad to say, but when you're in the system and your record goes over to the next school or whatever, oh, he crazy, he gonna be a problem, or she gonna be a problem, or they family. And that is why people don't like to, and I'm not saying all people in the system are like that, but that's why people don't like to report to the school that there's an issue with their child so they can get the help they need.
It's crazy because now your kid may have mental health issue, which if it's not addressed could then boil over to other things, which could
when they get older, it could be
further situation. Mm-hmm. And just take the time, sign the form, because this may be life changing for you and the child. And a lot of times you have, I think 4 years ago there was an 8-year-old. She got on top of a water meter,
mm-hmm.
a water main in Iowa, and jumped and committed suicide because all her friends were making fun of her on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, a girl actually went on live in Miami, and all the kids were in the chat group saying, "Hang yourself, hang yourself, hang yourself."
Yeah, I remember that.
And she did.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a colleague of mine that actually was her caseworker, and she said, Chris, the girl had nobody to talk to. Even though she was in the system, she felt like she had nobody to talk to. And that's what I'm saying, like, we gotta support people, man. Like, reach out to them, talk to them. Because
you know what? I'm not going to say all parents, because I know a lot of parents work and they're busy mm-hmm. and stuff like that. But for the most part, a lot of these parents know that their kids are bullied. Because a lot of the kids come home and do that little slick bullying with them, mm-hmm. and they just drape them up. They drape them up in the corner. I ain't your friends on the street. I'll take you out. I brought you in. I'll take you out. But if they're doing that at home, they're doing it in school.
If I remember, like my mom told me last night, she said, Chris, anybody in the situation, I know my son the best. And I looked at her and said, you're exactly right. She said, I've had this kid for 70 years. I know him. And everything that she was
now, and that's true, not to cut you. A real mom would tell you they know your kids. Am I going to throw my kids up on the bus publicly?
No.
Nah, but I know my kids. I know Cookie, I know Zaria, and I know Ayana. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing, but I'm not going to throw them up on the bus, but I'm going to get on top of them.
But see, a lot of people, and don't take this personal, but a lot of people don't do that. And a lot of people should do and parent the way you parent, but a lot of parents don't want to because they don't want the backslash from the kid. Because I want to be my kid's friend, and are going to the fact I don't want my kid to say certain things. Or I don't have the time to deal with this, but I love the fact you do that because now you're in tune with your child, and not you gonna throw your kid in the bus, but you see the potential, and that's what I was telling the mom. That's what parents have to do because a lot of these kids that are depressed, you can't expect the school to just be like, okay, well Johnny's depressed today. If Johnny doesn't talk at school, I'm assuming Johnny has a quiet personality. It just is what it is, and this stuff happens at home. And a lot of times, different events cause people to translate differently in how they deal with those situations. And I don't know. Some kids get aggressive, some kids get quiet. Same thing with adults. Everybody handles depression differently. But if you get in the space where you start to feel like you're depressed, seek help.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because in school, if when you wonder why a kid isolates itself, and you ask the kid what's wrong, oh, why you don't participate? Cause my mom said I'm stupid, or my dad said I'm stupid, or my little brother said I'm stupid, or my big brother said, and in reality, they're not really stupid. So what happened when we do these things to these kids? We shut them down. They go into depression and they isolate themselves, and then they really believe they're stupid when in reality they're not stupid.
And that's the thing. A lot of people have to look at, like, depression is, it comes down to really, it's a state of mind. But if you're depressed, there's always help.
Let me tell you, I'm telling you, I'm speaking. It is one of the worst to me.
It is. But the thing people don't realize,
because you're dealing with your mind, and dealing with your mind, you can't do anything clear. You don't see anything clear.
The Get Up Boys had a song called "My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me,"
and that's literally what happens.
Because you start to also, you see things differently. Like, there's times, like, even prime example, Tiger Woods a couple years ago was having trouble playing golf. He went and saw a professor at Nova, and the guy's like a renowned psychologist. But he said Tiger had gotten to the point of depression because he lost his father. So Tiger wasn't focused on golf; he was focused on that lost relationship. So they had to really work with Tiger on getting everything back together, coping skills. That's what I'm saying, and that's at a high level. So imagine me, you, a regular individual, you go through depression. This is one of the all-time greatest golfers. He knew that he needed to seek professional help. A regular individual, you have to have that same courage.
And you saw some of my work. Me coming out of depression. Look how my creativity just flow.
I'm telling you, you need your own, what is it, H&L? What is it? What's that show that comes on? QVC. You need to be on QVC.
You so stupid.
Have QVC, the P collection.
No, but look at my creativity, how it just flows.
Because you open another box. Because now the energy you were invested in that one space is now transitioning to another space, and you're getting a positive return from it. It's like, again, you went to the bank and you made $100 deposit. You know you're getting your $100 back because it's sitting there and secure. And that's what I love about it, because I've seen you went from one extreme to you a different person now. Because there's times I'd be calling you like, maybe we shouldn't do the show this week. I'd be sitting there going,
do I need a glass?
Take a shot from me.
But you know, the one thing I did, I think I came on here with bad energy. I knew the energy was off. I don't know if anybody else could pick it up. But the one thing I can say, it was hard to do. Once I get here and I sit down and we go live, I just click the switch.
But
it was hard.
It was hard because when you leave,
that switch go right back. But you know, I did it, and it wasn't that I was putting on a show. That's not what it was. I don't like to impose negative energy on anyone.
Right. But going back to what they said last week, you're the hammer, and see what happens. Even when the hammer needs to be in the toolbox.
Of course.
So there's nails, screwdrivers, and everything, because you got to be able to build your artwork.
Of course.
It's good to see you back, Hammer.
You're such a fool.
Because realistically, when you were there, you had to have a support group, but you figured out a way to pull yourself up, and then you handled it, and you come out. It's like the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. And a lot of times people get stuck in that rut. There's no other options. I feel like I can't make it. So let me take it to another. Let me go do something crazy. Let me go do this. And a lot of times mentally we think that's the only solution. I'm gonna either go drink myself to death, I'm gonna go drive down the street on the wrong side of the road. There's,
alcohol was not an option to me. It triggers my migraine and my high blood pressure. That was just I be to.
There's the there's a lady, there's a young lady I know, and right now, she was in a state of depression 3 months ago, and she called me and another colleague and said she was driving down 95 and wanted to drive her car off the road because of a relationship with somebody. I immediately had to switch to therapist mode, and I was like, we had to talk to her, and we talked to her until she got to a safe place, and we checked on her every single day. And I'm not telling you this story because I'm not trying to come out like a hero, but what if neither one of us picked up that phone call? What if we hadn't taken time? Because I was in the middle watching NFL playoff game, which is a great game.
Oh, so it was hard, right?
It was hard. I got ADD, so I had to put it on mute. But at the end of the day, I had to sit back and think, like, what if something happened? Is like, how would I felt? Like, I can watch the game at any point. But a lot of times, that's why I say going back to that check-in, like, how are you feeling today on a scale of 1 to 10? And a lot of times, I think even from a male perspective, we don't want to take the time to do that with friends. We just assume. I remember an analogy. A guy says he goes to the gym. He says, "What's up?" to a bunch of people, daps people up, but you don't know what they go through outside the gym, or outside the perimeters. And a lot of times, we cool with people. Yeah, I know that's my boy. What's his name?
I don't know.
We call him Rico. No, what's his real name? We call him Dre. No, what's his real name? No clue. Ben and me and my friend Jerry were we started having conversations with people outside the gym. You never realize these people are going through some life and death stuff. First off, you don't know the name, and you don't know the life stories. And then when you sit down and actually take the time to know them,
and when you know somebody by name, like, "Hey, Chris, what's up?" That makes a person feel so good. Like, wow, they know my name. I'm somebody. What's up, man? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is, guys, like, I just tell you, just check on people, man. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not less of a man. We've been doing this, and I think a lot of times brothers forget we do this all the time. When you go hang out with your boys, that is a check-in. When you come home and spend time with your wife, that is a check-in. When you spend time with your kids, that is a mental check-in. But we get so busy trying to be, like Matt was saying, Superman.
And macho, because we got this masculine
energy.
Yeah.
And not realizing we're in a state of depression. And for ladies, the same thing. You guys are busy. You're taking care of the kids. You're trying to trade your own dreams. You're trying to chase up your own stuff. Have check-ins. And it goes beyond, what is it, Sundays with mimosas or whatever y'all normally do? Mimosas on Sundays. It goes beyond that. Like, I think people out of our whole conversation should cultivate relationships with somebody they can call and have a check-in.
Like I told you, I normally talk to my cousin at 8 o'clock after she dropped the kids. But I knew this morning was busy for me. So I text her, "Hey, just checking in with you. I'm at XYZ. You can call me when you're done." And what happened? We talked like 3 hours later, but we talked. We did our daily. It was just later, but we did check in early because she knew I had a busy morning this morning. So when you're busy, just send that text. "Hey, morning, you good?
What's going on?" Because I know me and Norman got to the point where we started doing check-ins with each other. We actually have talks, like, because we got so busy, caught up doing so much stuff, we didn't actually taking the time to sit down and talk. And she told me one day, she goes, "There's a lot of stuff that I have going on that you have no clue." And for me, that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Of course.
Because I was like, and there was nothing I could say. So that's what I say. Slowly, you gotta, because if that person's been in your corner and you have communication with somebody, it's okay to be open that up. Because if you're going through something,
and we need to go back, especially with our mates and our kids. How was your day at work today? How was school today? Just ask. "Well, mommy, this boy hit me, but the teacher saw it," or whatever. And then, you ask the kids, "You want me to go to the school?" "No, don't worry about it. It's okay. But if he hit me again, I'll tell you." Small questions. Now imagine, small questions like that.
Imagine 7 days actually answering those small questions. And 30 days of not talking about it. What would be the difference?
Wow.
Because if you think about it, I got something bottled up for 14 days. Now all of a sudden I'm ready to go off. Kid goes back to school, he also hit somebody. Now I gotta leave work, go down there, pick him up. I'm upset. He's upset. We're in the car, we go home and get into it. Boom.
So I'm gonna give you a scenario. You pick your kid up, you on the cell phone. "Daddy, let me tell you, sit down, I'm on the phone, you don't see me talking." And what happened? The kids sit down and shut up. And then tomorrow, the same thing happened. The kid go back to school. Somebody bully the kid. Or even with your wife, she go to work. Something could be going on at work, and then you're so busy. You're doing your weight training, your job, the radio, and you don't even have time to ask her, "How you doing?
What's going on?"
Or if she call you and say, "Hey, babes, XYZ. Oh, I gotta call you back. This P calling about the radio, or this the therapist calling about this, or this the court calling. And then what happens? She get pushed to the side. But you have to take a couple of minutes and say, hey, there's a call coming in. Are you okay, babes? And if she says no, say, hold on. You take that call. It's okay to put somebody on hold. They do it in offices.
I said voicemail.
Or just say, hey, can I call you back? Because I have someone on the other line. They don't need to know who it is. It could be another client in crisis. They don't know.
Because the one thing I took from it is at the end of the day, like this, sometimes at some point, this is all we got left. And I think a lot of times when people end up in these depressed states, and again, this is just my professional opinion, we miss those conversations, we miss those connections. And I'm a big believer in, I take it back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We all want to have safety, security, comfort, but we also need communication. If somebody says, I'm good, I don't need nobody, I'm straight, you kidding yourself. I mean, and that's why I think a lot of times people end up in these depressions because.
Hey, Auntie Polly, hey, Bowie. My Auntie Polly says, show your face at school. Sometimes it puts fear in the teachers and principals and students. Oh. But guess what? What it also does is show the teachers, the principal, and the student that child has support.
And a lot of parents don't do that. And I know parents are busy working, but you got Zoom, you got FaceTime.
My mama used to come to the school. Let me tell you, my mama used to come to the school. The show that she support us. I'll never forget. My niece lied. My mama wasn't those mamas that swept that under the rug. The same person she lied to, my mama beat her behind right under the tree at the school. So my mama didn't play that. If you was wrong, you was wrong. But if you was right, you was right.
And that's the one thing I can take from, my mom and dad. They were there. I mean, there were games that they weren't there, but everything for school, they were there. Either that or my grandma came. But I had other friends that didn't have it. And a lot of kids don't have that. They don't have that support. And then you go home wondering why your kids get in a bunch of trouble. And I'm sitting in these, and I had youth that we diagnosed with depression. And the parents were like, oh, he seems like he's happy.
But a lot of parents think because they buy their kid everything they want or need.
We live in a certain neighborhood.
Yes, we any electronics they have. That don't mean they're happy. Are you giving that child attention? And 9 times out of 10, if a child is acting up in school, it's not because they woke up and said, I want to be bad as hell today. That's not what they said. There's something going on. There's something going on.
And the parents are like, well, he's got everything he needs. What I said, he doesn't have everything he needs. You're not here. He wants to be able to talk to you. You're getting frustrated with him, but when's the last time you had to talk? Oh, we go out all the time. Y'all go out, but are you talking to him?
Are you talking to him like, hey, babes, what's on your mind? What you going through? Zaria will be 21 in September. I talk to Zari every day. You okay? I ask Zari, even, and like I said, I had to switch with my mom. I get up in the morning, hey, old lady, you all right? Well, she sound like my grandma. Well, the best that I could be at this age, that means she okay. I know, right? Always putting stuff together like Inspector Gadget.
She's Home Depot. That's a whole other show in itself.
Yeah, but ask your loved ones, are they okay?
It's a mental check-in.
You can't just assume they're okay.
I can't. No, there are people that literally you walk by every single day that could be going through depression, and I hate a lot of times when people say, "Well, he didn't look depressed." Well, what does depressed exactly mean? Because that's a stigma. Well, he never looked like anything was going wrong with him. A lot of times we've had a bunch of shootings going on, and people say that a lot of times people are saying either two things: he looked like something was not right, or he was a quiet individual, or.
But did anyone ever ask him
what's going on? I look at these different shootings they have, and I always go look at I need a picture of the shooter. That's just how my mind. I don't need this. I need a picture of the shooter because I like to analyze. Mm-hmm. And my first thing as a therapist, I always go through what was going on with them in their home life. Like take me back to when you were 7, 8, and take me up to now to the incident happened because I want to go through that whole chronological line of how we got to this point where this person needed to go in and just decide to take a bunch of lives. Because people don't wake up in the morning one morning and say, you know what, today I'm just gonna walk down to the grocery store and just start shooting everybody I see.
It's something that's
Something
going on.
that's
But you
triggered.
know, let me tell you, I walked in the store one day. You know, I speak to everybody.
Mhm.
You make eye contact, I'm gonna say hi. And
Talking.
yeah, and
We
it's
rapping.
and one lady said, "Do you know how good that made me feel? Because I thought no one saw me. Like my heart dropped that people are literally going through this.
Because people don't talk to people. It's not
It's
from
just a simple hello. And when you say hello, people look at you like
like you
you
crazy.
you talk. So I went to a doctor's this before COVID,
Mhm.
and I said, "Good morning." I walk in bubbly, you know, I'm loony bin, so I walk in bubbly, and everybody just staring at
Stop.
me. And you have people morning. You know what I did? I stopped and said, "We're gonna try this one more time. Good
Only you.
morning," and
Only
then
you.
and everybody perked up. Good morning, and they was you could see it in their face. This is a nut job, right?
But let me tell you something. You used to do this all the time at SBA. It would be like 7:30 in the morning. I hear you out there. Good morning, ladies. We're gonna try this again. I'd be like, these girls half asleep.
Yeah, but come on, you gotta
But the
get
energy
going.
that they brought, that you brought, they were happy to see you. They were happy to see you because it brings a different energy because people feel it. And that's what I don't think people understand. People feel energy. Kids feel energy. Babies feel energy.
Of course.
There's I can't tell you, I did a visit with the kid maybe about a couple months ago, and anytime he sees his biological parents, he starts crying. He will not stop crying.
I remember Zaria was, I think, 9 months old.
Mhm.
And Tony got the call that his mom passed away, and he was holding her. And he said, "Oh my God." Zaria laid her head on her dad and started crying. 9 months old. He didn't even say anything. But the way he said, "Oh my God," and I guess the way his body vibration felt as he was holding her, she just started crying.
Yeah, emotional intelligence. You can't, and that's something a lot of times companies today, that's what they're looking for. Is this person connected with customers? Are you connected with people? Do you know how people perceive you? Because a lot of times we go into work, we may be going through depression. We don't know. We may go to the store, we may be depressed, and you saying hello to somebody could be saving somebody.
Jamila said, or make a joke. Okay, so Jamila, I forgot. I think it's Arabic. Jamila means beautiful, and she always do this for foolishness. My name is Jamila, but you could just call me beautiful. So yeah, okay, Miss Beautiful.
There you go.
I even look at her like, really, bro.
Really great. But she's right though, and I think in today's climate, what you addressing, what you're talking about, if you got to go back to work, don't go back in depressed. Go back in with a smile.
Hi, Mama Hickman. Your mommy said she was tuning in via the website.
Hey, Mom, what's happening? Go in with a smile, man. I remember it's one of those things like you always try to be put on that. It's not put on, and then two people say, "Oh, you come in here putting on a mask and smiling." No, this is how I really feel. I'm happy to be alive because after this last year, I love life. Like
you know what, you actually, and that's probably why I kind of forced myself to get out of depression, because I wasn't in depression for a couple of months. I think I've been in a depression for years. But as the time went by, it started to build up more and more. But it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even worth it. And I'm not ashamed to say that I went through it. I showed my auntie Valerie a picture of before something and after something. And when I looked at it, I almost said, "Really, girl? What were you thinking about?" But guess what? I'm at a better spot now. Yeah, I realized there was an issue, and I don't want to go back to that.
And that's what they all say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can look at a picture and tell people's body language, how they're positioned next to somebody, and you can kind of get an affect of what's going on.
And I was saying, I even said to you, Chris, how can I be on here every day and telling everybody all these positive things? And dog, I was under the rug, like way under the rug. And it was bad, but the one thing that kept me going, I don't like to impose that negative energy on people. So that's probably why I was able to do it and come in here and say, "Hey, everybody." And it wasn't that I wasn't being real. I just didn't want you guys to feel that energy.
And that's commendable.
I didn't want you guys to feel that energy, because that energy right there, it could turn a mood in a minute.
It's draining.
It is.
And that's why I say, if you got to go back to the office, come in with a different energy. Come in with a smile. Be happy. I remember Dr. Bloom used to have us do different coping exercises on how to smile. But I remember, what is it?
My uncle said a merry heart does good like a medicine.
It
And
does.
that's true.
That's so true. That's so true. It takes what 17 muscles to smile and 30, I think it's 70
My
something.
aunt said I'm a take charge baby. I was a take charge baby, girl, and woman. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you, Mama Hickman. Your mom said it was a great show. You know, we try to talk about, well, we talk about different things, but we want to talk about real life things, and you know, that we go through every day. I'm not afraid to share my story. I don't care who look down on me or look up on me, because if I hold it in, a lot of people won't know, hey, somebody just like me is going through it. So I'm okay with it. Judge me if you want to, and like my cousin Terry Miller say, judge your mama. So simple. But you know, it is what it is. I'm doing this and I'm able to talk about it, and I want to share it because hopefully somebody will say, dang, well, maybe I can come out of it, or you know, or that's what I'm experiencing and didn't even. Sometimes we're in depression and we don't even know it.
No clue.
We just think it's a way of life.
Because you get to that state because you're not around, like I said, the environment. It could be just you're in that space. But what happens is once you get stuck there, a lot of us stay there for years. You stay there for months, and you don't know how to get out until it's either A, too late, or B, something altering happens where you're like, how long have I been like this? I really have to change. And then making the acceptance.
And you know, I always say, you know, that we be in depression for we have a problem for so long, and we be in depression for so long that when it's finally fixed, we don't even know how to appreciate it and realize it. But we know it's fixed, and then we look for the next problem to come instead and say, about time, thank you, Jesus, or thank God, or whatever. Till we don't even appreciate it. But I appreciate every step of my journey because it actually made me a better person. And I've experienced that I can help someone. No, I'm not a therapist, but you know, I'm at an age, I think I can talk about it and say, well, hey, this would work for me. But maybe you want to talk to somebody because there may be a different coping mechanism for you.
For everybody. But definitely turning to substances, alcohol, erratic behavior, that's not going to cure the situation. That's not going to cure it. And I think, like, you know, just the mental check-ins. Put yourself in a positive environment. And best come to best, put yourself around some positive people.
And let me tell you, a lot of things that get us depressed as well is we don't want to let go of people that brings that bad energy to you because we love them. But guess what? You got to learn to love yourself first.
I can't love you if I can't love myself.
Yeah, you got to love yourself first. And if they're going to stay on and help you get out of that spot, they could ride with you. But if they're going to pull you down and keep you down, you got to cut that string.
Every single time.
You have to. Guess what? There's somebody, whether it's a friend, a lover, or a husband, wife, there's somebody else that will appreciate you for who you are
and respect you
and lift you up, and you lift each other up. But you don't have to hold on to that baggage. Let it go. And the bad thing about it, sometimes we have to let family members go. Like, you really, that toxic is not good for you. That I ain't even dropping them off, bro. I'm gonna give them an Uber pass. They got Uber gift cards. Hey, they're picking you up down the street. I know, right? One way.
20-hour trip.
One way. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much. Jamila says sometimes we're so busy looking to get to the next level, we forget to enjoy where we are. And at one point, this is where we want it to be. That's so true. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining Chris and I and letting me share the story, you know, of my depression experience, as you know. And I thank Chris for wanting to talk about it, because I kind of put him on the spot. I say, hey, we need to do this. You know, you need to do this. Mama Hickman say, God comforts us so we can be able to comfort others. 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. Mama Hickman, I don't have on my glasses. I hope I said it right. Hi, Chris, my auntie said. Well, it seemed like we can go on and on, but we'll tune in next week. Yep. I don't know the topic yet.
Y'all got anything you want to talk about?
Just shoot me an email, text, whatever. Or DM a message in my DM. But thank you for tuning in on excitementradio.com. You can also, if you know, some of you don't want to do the Facebook Live, you can tune in on excitementradio.com every Thursday at 7 o'clock. And then the telephone number here is 305-749-6004. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for having us this time of evening when you could be spending time with your families. But thank you for spending time with us. And we'll see you next week, Thursday. Good night.
Have a good one.